I am a liar. I know it's not a great way to start a TED Talk, but rest assured you will get nothing but the absolute truth. In fact, my issue isn't lying to others, it's oftentimes lying to myself. Whether it's my insecurities cutting me off at the knees, or my unrealistic expectations tempting me with illusions of grandeur. The way I feel about myself has a significant impact on who I believe I am. The way I experience and interpret my experiences and my thoughts forms my identity. For instance, just recently I got a significantly good deal on a very expensive coat. And I've misplaced it. And I keep coming back to the lie that I am useless because I can't keep track of these things. Every once in a while, I need to be reminded that my mistakes, no matter how big or small they are, don't define who I am, nor do they determine my value as a person. You and I are inundated every day with opinions and thoughts and expectations, with criticisms and compliments. And of all the voices we hear the most, or all the voices we hear, ours is the one we hear the most. But we don't always tell ourselves the truth. We lie. And so it can be difficult understanding who you really are. It can be a challenge when you try and do it on your own. And so we need to form healthy communities characterized by trust, truth, and love, because healthy communities form healthy identities. The desire to understand the self has been around for more than a millennia, but only recently has the term identity become a buzzword, skyrocketing in usage over the last 70 years. In his book, The Weariness of the Self, French author Alan Ehrenberg maps out the evolution of our understanding of depression. He explains that depression consists and embodies both the desire to be oneself and the need to act or to take the initiative, and all of the struggles that come along with that. We're told to be ourselves, but when we ask for help in how we're to do that, we're told, figure it out on your own. And so we're left without outside rules, external rules, or outside help. And so the weariness of this constant pressure within our individualist culture is created because of a constant creating and constructing and acting out on our own individual identity. We all feel the challenge to know who we are. Our identity is largely made up of our interpretation of all of our experiences, past, present, and future. The trouble is that all of those things and everything continues to change. It was the Greek philosopher Heraclitus that said, "No man steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river, and he's not the same man." Who you are, discovering who you are, is not a destination to be reached, but a journey that you continually take. And everything continues to change. The lens through which you view the world continues to shift like a kaleidoscope. All of your past experiences will be continually scrutinized under an ever-changing light. All of your present experiences will be continually met with new attitudes and new approaches. And everything we will experience, whether we expect it or not, will continue to shape and form our understanding of who we are. But we can't rely just on our own interpretation of these things, or else then we will be continually met with conclusions which lack in vitality and value. In other words, we'll continually come to a point where we don't have a clear depiction of who we really are, and so we will continue to feel like we're lacking. We all have this challenge of figuring out who we are, and we all know that we need help in doing it, but we just don't know where to look. Take, for instance, the self-help industry. Copious amounts of ink have been spilt in an effort to meet the ever-changing needs of our individualist society. Many of those resources focus on discovering the self or bettering the self. But the books keep coming. We haven't found any lasting solutions. Think of the irony of the situation for a moment. In an effort to understand yourself better, instead of going to someone that knows you well, you're going to jump on Amazon. You're going to download the latest bestseller by some author from the other side of the world to an audience that is so wide and generic that you are more likely to come away with more questions than answers. And yet, billions of dollars are spent every year in an effort to understand and discover who we are. Which reveals two things. One, this is a challenge that many people face. And two, it's a challenge that no one seems able to solve. If we can't help ourselves, maybe it's time we start helping each other. The most effective way to do that is to be a part of a healthy community. A community where individuals authentically care for one another. In the past, your community was what you were born into. It was your family, this tight-knit group of people. But things have even changed now from that. Instead, now we choose our communities. Author Bill Bishop said that it used to be that people were born as individuals as part of a community. But now, I've messed that. What he said was, it used to be that we were born as part of a community and had to find our place as individuals. But now we're born as individuals and have to find our community. Now, as freeing as that individualism may seem on the surface, it comes with a significant cost. Without a community, there is no support or structure for the person to develop. And so the individual is left to their own devices, faceless and floating through social and cultural space, desperately grasping at any idea of value or norm by which to identify themselves. On the other hand, the majority of what we call communities today exist because of a common purpose or mission. And so it can be a real challenge to join a community when you don't fully understand who you are or where you fit. These communities, first and foremost, focus on the purpose rather than the person. Operating with a philosophy of conformity, they take their members and expect them to conform to a certain set of standards or values. These communities do not exist for the individual, but for the purpose. Instead, we need to develop communities that are founded on a philosophy of formation. A community that accepts people where they are and supports them as they grow and develop. The biggest hurdle in developing an unhealthy community into a healthy community is a transition from a philosophy of conformity to one of formation. For this to work in a healthy community, for individuals to develop and grow, the community needs to be characterized by trust, truth, and love. We are all recovering liars. And we need the help of each other. We need to trust one another to speak the truth in love. Trust is the foundation of any healthy community. An individual needs to know that they're in a safe place, that what they share won't become the subject of gossip, or that they won't experience judgment from others. If we don't feel comfortable to be open and honest, then not only will we continue to lie to ourselves, but we will feel we need to lie to one another. But trust goes both ways. The community also needs to know that there's no room for one person whose only concern is their own well-being. The community needs to trust that each individual comes ready and willing to offer insight and hope. We need to be able to share our adversities and insecurities with one another if we are to have any hope of hearing and receiving truth. You see, a healthy community is a place of truth. Every conversation is grounded in it. And not just my idea of truth. If I only accepted as truth what I perceived to be true, then truth itself is worthless. It's like salt that loses its saltiness, or pop without fizz. What good is it? But what every individual needs to know and accept is that a healthy community is a place where we speak truth, even when it's a tough pill to swallow. Truth isn't always easy, but it's often what we need. It's like Buckley's. It tastes awful, but it works. If we struggle to understand who we are, we need to be able to trust others to speak the truth to us, even when it's difficult. There's an old proverb that says, "The wounds from a friend can be trusted, but the compliments of an enemy are multiplied." As difficult as it can be to hear truth sometimes, if it comes from a friend or someone we trust, it's far better than a multitude of compliments from someone whose only concern is themselves. But truth on its own is ineffective. Truth without love is oftentimes disregarded and not received. And so the most important characteristic of any healthy community is love. And not just any love, but a love that doesn't demand its own way, but instead sacrifices itself for the betterment of others. When someone knows that you have their best interests at heart, when you're motivated by love, they are more open to receive what it is you have to say. The biggest lie that we have believed about truth is that love withholds it. But love does not withhold truth. Love is not allowing a person to believe whatever they want to believe, especially when it comes to what they believe about themselves. In fact, oftentimes, by withholding truth that a person might need to hear is the opposite of love. For instance, if you or someone you knew was struggling with their self-worth, if they were on the brink of self-destruction, wouldn't your love for your friend compel you to speak the truth to them and remind them of just how valuable they are? In addition, love also keeps no record of wrong, but inspires forgiveness. Let's be honest with ourselves. Each one of us is a broken individual to one extent or another. Each one of us comes with our baggage. And make no mistake about it, we will hurt one another. But love and forgiveness can overcome that hurt. As we walk together in love, we can help each other to heal, to grow, and to develop a healthy identity. Because in healthy communities, individuals grow and lead others to grow, as in a context of trust, we speak the truth to one another in love. Personally, I've experienced this type of healthy community within my own faith community. But even there, we struggle from time to time in our pursuit of the ideal. We get it wrong. We make mistakes. But love compels us to continue to speak and receive truth from one another. Whatever type of community you find yourself in, developing it to become a healthy community will take commitment and hard work. But as we continue to trust one another, to speak the truth in love, we will grow and develop a deeper understanding of who we are. Ehrenberg suggests that in a culture of individualism, it's individual initiative that takes the top priority in measuring a person's value to society. I think society's economy of personal value is way off base. I believe that each one of us possess intrinsic, immeasurable value. That when it comes to your identity, it's not your purpose nor your effectiveness that determines your value to society, but the very fact that you are a person. Yeah. Your identity, it's more than who we are, is more than how we are. That you, before you've accomplished anything, by your very existence, are value added. Your identity goes deeper than your age, your race, religion, gender, sexuality, or the complete sum of all your accomplishments and failures. And so you need a healthy community to dispel the lies and to discover who you really are. Because it's a healthy community that forms a healthy identity.